You're traveling through the unknown, a journey beyond the corners of reality, where the shadows whisper and the chill runs deep. Welcome to the dimension where your deepest fears are given form. This is The Midnight Mystery.
Welcome to The Midnight Mystery. This episode is called The Haunted Hotel. In each episode, we delve into the shadowed corners of our existence, bringing you tales of the eerie, the uncanny, and the downright terrifying. From the realms of the supernatural to the depths of the human psyche, no stone is left unturned, no dark secret left hidden. For this episode, a group of friends checks into a seemingly ordinary hotel, only to find themselves trapped in a nightmarish realm where the hotel guests are not what they seem. As the clock once again draws near midnight, prepare to embark on another adventure into the uncanny, the eerie, the horrifying, the midnight mystery. I'm currently sitting in room 204, huddled on the edge of a faded velvet chair. The yellow glow from a flickering lamp dimly illuminates the antique desk before me. My laptop is open, a microphone set up before me. My trembling hands hover over the keyboard, unsure of where to start. "Hey, are you recording already?" asks my friend Alice as she peeks into the room, her pale face paler still under the dim light. I nod, and she walks in, wrapping herself in the thick drapes. The room is eerily cold despite it being the middle of June. "I hope someone believes us," she says, her voice a mere whisper. I try to offer her a comforting smile, but I'm not sure it reaches my eyes. It was supposed to be an escape, a wild adventure, a group of 5 friends driving across the country, exploring forgotten towns, devouring mouth-watering local cuisine, and creating memories to last a lifetime. We had no idea that the greatest memory we would make would be our own entrapment. Not in a city, not in a state, but in a hotel, an entity alive and menacing in its own right. The first time we saw it, standing alone off the highway like a brooding monolith, we laughed. Its grand Victorian architecture, complete with ornate carvings and towering spires, seemed out of place amidst the backdrop of barren fields and open skies. I remember James, our resident history enthusiast, marveling at the craftsmanship, eager to explore what lay within. "Well, folks, looks like we've hit the jackpot," he'd exclaimed, grinning widely as we all piled out of our van. Alice, always the adventurous one, rushed towards it, her excitement infectious. We thought it would be a quirky, fun anecdote to share once we got back home. A night spent in a hotel seemingly misplaced in time. "This place is amazing!" Alice had cried, spinning in the grand entrance. Sarah and Mike, the couple of our group, had been less impressed, Sarah grimacing at the dust, and Mike noting the lack of cell reception. I remember brushing their concerns off, enchanted by the old-world charm of the place. From the moment we checked in, a subtle unease crept over us. The receptionist, a woman with gray hair tied into a neat bun and wrinkles that spoke of a long life, greeted us with a forced smile. There was something disconcerting about the way her gaze was fixed on something far beyond our presence. "Welcome to the Ravensbrook Hotel," she said, her voice a dry rasp echoing in the lofty foyer. "I hope you'll find your stay enlightening." Alice, with her charming spirit, had tried to engage her in conversation. "You must have some great stories about this place," she'd said with a friendly smile. But the receptionist had only responded with a strange smirk, her eyes never quite meeting ours. As night fell, the hotel seemed to take on a life of its own. The echoing silence of the day gave way to distant whispers, doors creaking, and the faint strains of a piano playing a haunting melody. The layout, which we had navigated with ease earlier, turned into a labyrinth of shadows. Corridors spiraled into the unknown, twisting and turning in ways that defied logic. Rooms that we had just walked past would vanish, replaced by solid walls or new doors that opened to other bizarre hallways. We first took it as a joke, a product of tired minds and too many horror movies. Mike even made us laugh with his impression of a TV ghost hunter. "What we're experiencing here, folks, is a classic case of phantom architecture," he'd said, his flashlight under his chin for effect. But as the night grew darker and the strangeness escalated, laughter was replaced by a sense of gnawing dread. James, always the logical one, was the first to voice the fear that had crept into our hearts. "This is not a trick," he'd said, his voice barely a whisper. "The hotel, it's changing." And in the silence that followed, we all knew he was right. The grand, misplaced Victorian hotel was not just a building. It was a shape-shifting entity, reshaping itself, playing with us like a cat with its prey. The other guests, if we could even call them that, were an additional layer of dread to our already terrifying predicament. Their hollow eyes followed our every move. Their gaunt faces remained expressionless, only enhancing our sense of unease. "They're not real," Sarah murmured once, her eyes wide as she observed an old man in Victorian attire shuffling past our table in the dining hall. "I mean, they're there but not really there, you know?" She turned to us, her face as pale as the spectral guests that filled the room. "Like ghosts." Mike's voice trailed off, and we all nodded in chilling understanding. This hotel was not merely haunted, it was a purgatory, an amalgamation of time and space filled with trapped souls. And now, we were among them. Our growing realization of our grim predicament sparked a primal need to escape. Desperation laced every thought, every action. We gathered at the grand double doors of the hotel, the same doors we had entered with such light-hearted spirits not too long ago. "I can't stand another second in here!" Sarah cried out, fear etching lines of distress on her usually calm face. "There has to be a way out! This is a hotel, not a prison!" James added, his logical mind still struggling to make sense of the supernatural nightmare we were living. The sign overhead bore the word "Exit," a mocking promise of freedom. But when we pushed the doors open, our hopeful faces fell as we were greeted not by the open world, but by another endless, dimly lit corridor. Its walls, adorned with faded tapestries and gaslight sconces, seemed to stretch on infinitely, leading us back into the heart of the hotel's twisted labyrinth. "How is this possible?" Mike murmured, his voice echoing in the hollow expanse. The fear in his eyes was mirrored in each of us. Every door we tried gave the same result: a new hallway, a new staircase, another part of the hotel we hadn't seen before. Like a cruel game, the hotel was leading us deeper into its belly, mocking our futile attempts to escape. In despair, we turned our attention to the grand windows lining the lobby. Daylight streamed through them, a cruel mirage of the freedom that was mere feet away yet felt like miles. Together we threw ourselves against them, hoping to shatter the glass and leap to freedom. Our efforts were rewarded with nothing but bruised bodies and shattered hope. The windows, previously clear panes of glass, now felt solid, like walls of unyielding concrete. Our fists, our bodies, even a heavy iron candlestick did nothing but bounce off harmlessly. The world outside, once within our reach, was now nothing more than a taunting scene painted onto an impenetrable barrier. Every attempt to leave, every hope of escape, was thwarted by the malevolent hotel. It was as if the building itself was alive, relishing in our despair, feeding off our fear. The hotel wasn't just trapping us, it was breaking us, showing us the futility of our resistance. But still, we were not ready to surrender. Trapped and terrified we were, but defeated we were not. Alice, always the resilient one, tried to boost our spirits. "We just need to find the right door," she insisted. But even her voice lacked its usual vigor, a testament to the hopeless situation we were in. So here we were, stuck in a perpetually altering labyrinth, a hotel from a time long past, surrounded by ghostly apparitions. We thought we were just guests. We didn't realize we were becoming the hotel's newest permanent residents, until we found the newspaper. James discovered it tucked away in a decrepit study, hidden under layers of dust. The date of our check-in was on the front page, but the year was decades earlier. There was an article about a car crash, a fatal one. A group of friends on a cross-country road trip had died. Their names were our names. The horrifying truth sank in as we read the article, the paper shaking in our hands. We didn't make it to the hotel, did we?" Alice asked, her voice a trembling whisper. I looked into the terrified eyes of my friends, their faces now matching the pale, hollow faces of the other guests. In a library that appeared one morning at the end of a previously dead-end corridor, we found a stack of old newspapers. The musty smell of aged paper filled the room, the once luxurious bookshelves now home to forgotten knowledge and unvisited stories. James was the one who made the discovery, his hands shaking as he showed us the headline. This isn't right," he stammered, holding out the newspaper. The top one bore the date of our check-in, but the year was several decades past. The headline was a cold, brutal stab of reality. Fatal car crash claims 5 friends on cross-country road trip. We crowded around, each of us reading over the other's shoulder, eyes skimming the lines in disbelief. The report detailed a horrific car crash. The car was ours. The road was the same one we had traveled on our way to the hotel. "Remember the truck? The one we joked about?" Sarah asked, her voice shaking. "We laughed about how close it had come. We were sure we avoided it." Mike pulled her close, his face pale, his eyes reflecting the terrifying realization that dawned on us. "Only, we hadn't avoided it," he whispered, his voice barely audible. One by one we fell into a stunned silence, each of us wrestling with the undeniable truth. We had died that day on the road. The hotel, the strange guests, the unescapable corridors, none of it was real. Or rather, it wasn't part of the living world. It was our afterlife, our personal purgatory. We're dead," Alice said after a long silence, the words sounding foreign and unimaginable. "We're the ghosts." Her words hung in the air like a chilling prophecy, a tragic end to our adventurous journey. And so, I sit here, broadcasting our story from room 204, the room that has become our anchor in this shifting, spectral world. The microphone in front of me seems almost out of place, a vestige from a life that seems both so close and yet impossibly far away. "Is it recording?" Alice asks, breaking the silence that has enveloped the room. "Yes," I nod, my voice barely a whisper. "Good. Let's tell our story," she says, her voice echoing the determination I can see in her eyes. So, we begin, our voices weaving the tale of our unexpected journey into the afterlife. We speak of the joy of our road trip, the allure of the grand Victorian hotel, the horror that slowly unveiled itself. We speak of our discovery, the chilling realization, the acceptance of our fateful end. Remember, if you see an inviting Victorian hotel standing alone off a highway, Alice's voice echoes into the microphone, think of us, and keep driving. We can only hope our words permeate the ethereal barrier that seems to encase this hotel. Reach out to someone in the living world. If by some miracle you're listening to this, heed our warning. The hotel is not what it seems. It's a trap, a purgatory for lost souls like us. For us, it's too late. We are the very entities that we feared when we first stepped into this hotel. We are part of the haunting, condemned to roam these shifting corridors for eternity. If you're listening to this, remember our story, remember our names, and if you ever find yourself checking into a grand Victorian hotel standing alone off a highway, take a moment, look around, listen for the faint echoes of our laughter, look for the remnants of our existence. Who knows? Perhaps you might find that you're not merely a guest in the hotel. Perhaps you too are a part of the haunting. The irony is not lost on us. We came to live an adventure, only to become a ghost story ourselves. We are the ghosts we feared. We are a part of the haunted hotel. If you're listening to this, who knows? Perhaps you are too. I hope you enjoyed our episode. I'd like to extend a heartfelt thanks to you, our brave listeners. Your presence in this shared journey into the unknown is what fuels our stories. Your fascination is our motivation. Did this episode send chills down your spine? Leave your comments, share your thoughts, your theories, your own midnight mysteries. Your feedback is the beacon that guides us through the uncharted territories of our stories. And if you haven't already, remember to subscribe to our channel. By joining the Midnight Mystery family, you won't miss out on a single chilling tale. As a subscriber, you'll be the first to know when a new episode lurks around the corner, ready to pull you back into the shadowy depths of the unknown. This is the Midnight Mystery signing off, leaving you with a simple reminder. When the clock strikes 12, fear the silence, for that's when our tales come to life. Good night, Midnight listeners, and remember, not all who wander into the dark are lost.